And I
Oh yeah, you got Hey,
Okay.
hey
Hey, we're
everybody.
live.
Welcome to TTSN, the Transformational Squirrel Network, where we make shift happen. I would like to welcome Warren Berry as our guest on our show tonight. Welcome, Warren.
Well, thank you for having me. This is awesome.
I'm glad that you're here. We were excited to have you on. So Warren is the founder and CEO of, is that right? Founder and CEO
That's correct.
of Instinctive Solutions in Regina. And he has done some studies and is going to talk to us tonight about conative stress and the workplace and its effects on your health. And so tell me a little bit about the word conative, Warren, because that's kind of a...
You have not heard the word conative
Well,
before? I mean,
I have heard the word conative, but not everybody that's watching will have heard the word conative.
And so everybody who's listening, go onto your phone or go into Word and put in the word conative and it will spell check it to cognitive. So even the Google might not
Even the Google might not know the word.
So the word conative, so everybody now that's listening, right, if you officially have a new Scrabble word, conative or conation. And the conative aspect of your mind is, it's the place in your mind where your instincts are. It is your mental energy, and so it's the place that how you take action on things. So it's your problem solving strategy. So we all have three parts to our mind. So we know that the things that you learn in school, your education, your skills, your experience, your knowledge, your IQ. All that is the cognitive aspect of your mind. And that piece of your mind always changes because, well, at least we hope it does. You being in the education system, right? Yes. You are teaching your children from the cognitive aspect.
Correct.
Because we're teaching them them math and all those new things.
Yes.
So that grows. And then there's the affective part of your mind, which is the feeling side of us.
Okay.
And that's where your emotions are, your values, your beliefs. So you talked a lot about, belief systems and those kind of things, right?
Right.
And then the personality also is in the affective part of your mind. That's the feeling. Now the thing about emotions and values and things, they change over time.
Right. Well, yes, absolutely.
Absolutely, they change.
I mean, they could change like this.
On a dime. And so that is on the affect, and that's actually again where your personality lives. So whether you're an introvert or an extrovert or those aspects. Okay. And what we're talking about is the conative, and that's your innate ability. It's your strengths. It is your mental energy. It's your talent, and it's that instinctive drive that actually is talking to you. So it's the subconscious part of your mind that's actually acting to how you're going to problem solve or how you're going to approach a problem your way. And it's what makes you awesome.
And it's what I was going to say. Okay, is this the part of my mind that makes me awesome? Because part of my mind that makes me awesome is my squirrels, and this right back here is really distracting me.
Yeah.
So you see that? So I need to know.
Beautiful?
That's really cool. So tell me about this. Sorry, I'm like squirreling here. Tell me about this before we go on, please.
You need to know about my print. Well, we have to give a bit of a shout out to Heather Murphy from Authentically Lifestyle Design. So Heather does all my marketing and branding and whatnot. Okay. So we were having a conversation one day in a coffee shop, and we were talking about being a misfit. Well, being an odd duck is actually what the conversation was. And so out of that became the concept of duck, duck, goose. And so then it's talking about, being the odd one out. Mm-hmm. And so that actually became the metaphor for all my speaking, and all the work that I do is actually based on duck, duck, goose. So I'm not sure if you can tell, but my shirts, this one's a little bit more, well,
this is a pretty tame shirt.
It's a pretty tame shirt, yeah.
For you.
Anyway, that's actually, if you look at the color and behind, that was actually based off all my shirts. In fact, one of my shirts is actually in this picture.
Yes, you know what? You can see the buttons, I noticed along the goose's neckline.
Exactly. Now I will throw in a piece here though, right? And we're gonna talk a bit about the conative aspect of the mind.
Yes.
But so a long quick start, which nobody in this call actually knows what that means, right? Even Cindy doesn't know what that means. But long quick starts are actually drawn to color. They're naturally instinctively drawn to color. So they'll be drawn to like oranges and yellows and greens and bright colors. Right? Even Cindy doesn't know what that means. What's that? So anyway, so if you see them behind, right, that is actually like really sort of who I am. That all that color, that is naturally who I am.
Who you are.
And I'm a long quick start as well. So
and you have tons of colorful shirts.
Yes.
Yes. And I just want to.
How do you know that you're a long quick start?
Are we going to answer that question first, or are you going to?
I'm not answering. I'm just.
So the tool that I use is called a Kolbe Index. So it was a tool that was created by a woman by the name of Kathy Kolbe. It's been almost 41 years, I guess, now in the making. And so there's a story in behind it, but basically she discovered that there was a part of her that kept doing the same thing repetitively, how action that she was taking. And eventually she created a tool, and here we are 40 years later, and where we use it to work with organizations, we work with companies to make sure we have the right people on the right seats in the bus based on instinct. So it's the only tool that's available that can actually measure this part of the mind. So that's how I know I'm a long quick start.
Mm-hmm. Right. Wow. And so there are 4 parts to this.
4 modes.
4 modes.
Yeah.
So if you can see Cindy's name and my name, we have numbers beside our names because we did this test. And so Warren's going to talk about what these numbers actually mean that are beside our names.
And there's mine. Right. So let me throw this at you as an educator.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So fact finder, right? This is and this is in the red. So Cindy, you're a 7 in fact finder. Tamala, you're a 5, and I'm a 2. So we're all different, and that's how we gather and share information. All right. So when we gather, everybody gathers and shares information. Everybody does.
Right.
And so my little 2. So when you look at it as battery packs of mental energy, I have this little 2. Short little 2 in fact finder. So I don't want all the information. I don't want the data. I don't want the specifics. I don't want all the research. It's like, just get to the point and let me go. That's why, just give me the bottom line, give me the conclusion. That's all. As long as I get the gist of something, that's all the information that I need.
So can that look like somebody who seems to be impatient?
It can look impatient, right? Where it's like, so they're gathering information. It's like, okay, like enough, right? Like, don't bombard me with all the details.
Right.
I don't want to know, right? And so then I'll start checking out because I've already got all the information that I need, right? So you with your 5, so you're a great explainer, you're a great editor. So you'll go, as long as you have enough information, right, then you will actually have enough information to make a decision in order to move forward. You don't need it all, right? And then we look at Cindy, right, which is like, give me more, give me more, give me more facts, give me all. I want more information, and as the longer that we got, right? And so one's not right, and one's not wrong.
Right.
One's not good, one's not bad. It's just that what we naturally use in our way of problem solving. So for what I see and talk to a lot of people when they have these like little 2s and little 1s, right? They look at that and they say, well, that's a weakness, and they should on themselves.
They should on themselves.
They should on themselves.
Do not should on
never
yourself.
Should on yourself. So for me as my 2, right, I would be like, well, I should be more specific. I should be more strategic. I should get more information. I should spend more time reading, right? And that's not natural for me, right? I'm capable of doing it. But what happens is once I burn my little battery pack off, then it's gone.
Right.
And then as soon as that's gone, then my brain kind of checks out, right? And has nothing to do with intelligence, right? So, but it has the fact that I've burnt off that mental energy. So I need to do something else and then come back, right? God gave us rechargeable batteries.
And that really makes sense. Like, as a teacher, that makes a lot of sense, because I can see in my classroom the children who are short fact finders, they don't have that attention span to listen to my whole lecture or to read all of the assignment that I've given them, right? They're checking out. They're like, okay, I'm done. And so then I have to give them something else. Maybe it's something hands-on, maybe it's a different project, and then allow them to come back to this one so they can be doing more than one thing at the same time. They can go back and forth.
Go back and forth. So they can just do it a little, so we make good wind sprinters of information. Right. And so I got the gist, and I can go back and do something else and come back at it and go back to something else. Right. Where as long as we understand, as long as we comprehend, doesn't really matter how we get there.
No.
And so now in school, right, when I was in school, so when we go to school, right, and I had to write like the 1,000-word essay.
What was that?
I said it's really delayed when I speak. You don't hear me for a long time.
Oh, I hear you. Yeah.
I was just gonna say that I love that you share that, because in so many instances, we'll look at another person, or and put yourself as a comparative that, oh, well, look at how great they are at this or that or the next thing, right? And you are great no matter what. You just are built differently. And I just love that you're breaking it down for us. Thank you.
You're welcome. So in school, this is really interesting in school, and I noticed that with working with CEOs and upper management. I speak across Canada into the US. And these people here usually get pushed out of the organization because they don't have the proof, and they don't have the data, and they don't, and they don't care what happened yesterday. So for them, right, they'll resist historical information. It doesn't matter. Like, who cares what happened yesterday? That's what's next, right? And again, and I really want to say this, that the subconscious mind it's really fascinating, because it's that the subconscious mind basically is in pictures and feelings. There's no words in the subconscious mind. So when it's talking to, and people say, well, I need you to do the 1,000-word essay, and you're like, and I make it in 3 sentences because I condense it all down and I summarize it, right? As long as I've understood it. Well, no, but what about the rest? And like, so my mind then is now trying to come up with fluff. Filler, right? Because it's like, well, what about this, right? And so it's an interesting talent that they have, that they can basically just summarize and break it down into simplistic things, and go, just there it is, right? Yeah, but prove that. Well, I don't want to prove it. So any of you have children who do not want to justify what they did, you're talking to a short fact finder. Yeah.
Right.
So,
oh my gosh, yes.
Follow-throughs, I love the follow-through. Right? I'm a 4, actually. I think I'm a generous 4 half the time. Okay. But so if you were like a 1, 2, or 3, we call it being resistant and follow-through. And that's how we arrange, design, and systematize. And this, I want to just really pick on this real quick, because that everybody in the world organizes. Every single person in the world organizes. And so anybody who's a short follow-through for pretty much their whole life has been called unorganized. They've been called messy. They misplaced things, right? And they never finish what they start, right? And they're called, and it actually has a lot to do with squirrel too as well, because they have the short little energy where they'll start and then they get bored and they start something else and they get bored. They're great starters, not great finishers.
Right, and that was me. And all my life, I would start craft projects. I would start different projects, and then always feel like a failure because I didn't finish it, and people would be like, "Well, you're still got this. Like, finish this. Like, before you move ahead, finish something." And that happened to me a lot growing up, and even as an adult. It's like, you never finish what you start. Finish this project. And then, you feel like I did. I felt like a failure. And then there was, I met you and you did this test with me, and you said, wait a minute, no, that's part of what makes you awesome. And I went, what? Like, what do you mean that's part of what makes me awesome, right? And now I use that all the time. Like, I didn't finish that. That's part of what makes me awesome.
But it is, and that's the fact, right? And it's because you're a wonderful multitasker, right? You can, but so say, well, I'll finish it, eventually. It's not that you don't finish what you start. I'll finish it eventually. So the funny thing about that is I like the part about cleaning house, right? So you start in the kitchen, right? And then you're over to the bathroom, and then you're into the bedroom, and then somehow you're out in the garage, right? Like, how the hell did I get here? Right? And that's the funny part about it. You have to laugh at yourself.
Oh my God, that's so mean.
Right?
But
Right?
so where
Yeah.
is that wrong?
Well, it is not wrong, but society has this thing about, you know what, you start something, you finish it, and then you move on.
Yeah.
But I'm not the mold of society, right? And it's like, and so that's how we've been judged.
I don't
right?
think anybody is in a
No,
mold,
nobody is, right?
We're so individual, and that is what makes us awesome.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anybody who has a desk and they have all their crap all over the place, they have what we call the uncategorized vertical filing system. It's a pile.
Yes.
Right? But the fact is they are organized their way.
Yes.
It's not ish. It's organized their way.
Yeah. Well, my desk at school, I have a pile there, and I know that I know what's in the pile. I may not know exactly where in the pile it is, but I know what's in the pile.
There you go. You're organizing.
You know, you have a pile.
Right. And multiple piles.
Yes.
So then you get the people that are up here, right, that are really long, and this all has to do with time. So much time you'll spend there. So right. So then the people are planning, right? So it's like people short, like the plan is there is no plan. People that are up here is right. I have to have a plan. Like if I don't see a start, a middle, and an end, I won't start. So they have to plan. So we call them OCD, but actually it's really CDO. That way it's in alphabetical order. So I'm gonna come back to this on the education side because it's kind of a bit of pet peeve. I will get into the education system. I swear. Quick start. There's quick start. Squirrel. See, long squirrel. This squirrel networks are full of long quick starts, right? And it's how we deal with risks and uncertainty, right? So short quick starts, we call them the quick stops. They put the brakes on everything. Let me figure this out first. Whoa, I got to figure this out. Don't take a risk. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Leave well enough alone. And as the energy goes up, right, you start getting more and more and more. It's like, well, let's look at this we're going to see the temperature of the water in the swimming pool. Okay. So we're it's in the summertime right now. Our pond is frozen. So 1, 2, or 3s, right? They want to see what the water temperature is. Right, they will watch to see what the other people are doing and the reactions that they're having before then they'll understand. Oh, I can get a pretty good idea what that water temperature is like. People that are 4, 5, or 6, right? They may go down and they'll go in the shallow end, maybe kind of head down and then down the ladder. Right, dip your toes in and see what's going on, right? And then the 7, 8, 9, 10s, the longer, the more energy you have there. What do? I
don't jump in because I don't like cold water.
Well, I'm
scared of water.
Okay, it's the temperature of the water.
I don't like cold. So, sorry.
We cannibal. We cannibal. Let's jump in and see what'll happen. So how about trying a new idea? Have you ever just jumped in and tried a new idea to see what'll happen?
I'm the one who will grab the computer and say, oh my God, I want to go on a trip in February. Let's look. And
you just canniballed in the water.
I just canniballed. Yes. So.
And then implementer, we'll make this real quick, and then we'll see if the people have some questions, right? Implementer is a lot of fun because it's how we deal with space intangibles, right? Hands-on, how do we touch and feel things? And so the people that are shorter here, they can encapsulate them and they can envision. They don't need to see it to believe it. They just go, oh, I know what you're talking about. I get it. And the longer up you go here is the more you need to touch it and feel it and see it and taste it and how does it move? And it's all about space. And it's all about what does it actually feel and look like. Mm-hmm. And so the example that I really like is you take a long implementer female. So there's the girl who's out in the barnyard and she's out getting dirty and you know, she's fixing this and she's touching everything, right? What is she labeled?
Tomboy.
She's a tomboy.
That's, yeah.
Right?
And that's mom, right?
Yeah. And it has nothing to do with being a tomboy and has everything to do with being a female who just has a lot of implementer energy. So I'll say this. So in school, right, I don't pay a lot of attention. I just want the little bitty details and then I'm out right? And I'm kind of squirreling, so I'm basically going from task to task, get bored easy, right? I'm easily distracted, shiny thing, right?
Yeah.
And I talk way too much, right? And I won't sit still. What's my label?
ADHD.
There we go. Which makes me awesome.
Which makes you awesome. And so that though really made sense to me, in that, you know, the kids that we have in our classrooms, not to mention the adults, but the kids that we have in our classrooms, my gosh, you know, we're expecting them to sit there and, oh, fill out this paper, write these notes, do this, and to pay attention for this much time, and to be focused on one thing, right? Where we need to have multiple things. And yes, there's the expectation that they get this done, but give them multiple things at once, and let them go to town. You can work on this, or you can work on this, or you can work on this, or you can work on all three at the same time, which I tend to do. I'm working on lots of things all at the same time, and I get them done. And so we need to allow our kids to do that as well. But we can't be shooting on ourselves because we as adults aren't doing that, right?
Right.
Exactly.
We can't expect the kids to be the same as we are as well, right?
Right.
You know, like everybody is so individualized, and just to realize that, right? Just to have that awareness alone, that, you know, to drop the expectation of anybody around you, right? Anybody, because we are all so different.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things I talked about earlier is the cognitive aspect of your mind changes because we learn new things. The affective part of our mind changes because we feel different about things, but the conative stays the same. The conative aspect of your mind stays the same through life. You are who you are. It has nothing to do with age. It has nothing to do with gender. It has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do, there's no racial bias, no socioeconomic. It's your God-given talent. It's how you come into the world, and that's what makes you awesome. And so it's like, why would you want to change that? Right? And that's, but people, we should on ourselves all the time, because we should be more, organized. We should be more detailed. We should be more, whatever the case may be.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, so I want to step back for a second. And when I was teaching pre-kindergarten, so I've been teaching grade 4 now for 4 years, and I taught pre-kindergarten before that for 11 years. And so when I was teaching pre-K, I was down a lot on the floor and down on these little tiny chairs, and I injured my back because I was told it was from the repetitive up and down on my back, that's what it was from. But I also was feeling really stressed out at work. I was feeling like there was a lot that wasn't working well for me in that position at that exact time. And so I injured my back, and I was on leave for close to 5 months. So how does that relate to conative stress?
I'm glad you asked that question.
Okay.
Because that's the research. That's the research that I'm doing. That's the
research that you're doing.
Yeah, that's exactly the research that I'm doing. So when you're up against yourself, right, conatively, so basically there's a dissonance of mental energy. So when I'm having to do things that go against who I naturally am, that the mental energy is now firing. So have you ever been in a situation where, even if you're, let's say you're trying to organize something, and you're trying to get this organized, you're trying to put things into a system, right? And you get to a point where it's like your brain kind of just stalls.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Now, you tell me, does that have to do anything with your intelligence? Are you capable of doing it?
Oh, always capable of doing it.
But you feel that stall?
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
That's because you've run out of battery. You've run out of mental energy there. Right? So, but if you keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, that energy's got to go somewhere. Energy never stops. So then I'm working with that and tying it in with the fascial system of the human body. So now we have this dissonance of mental energy going in our mind, which is now transferring to the fascial system, the connective tissue system of the human body, right? And then, which is the energetic system, and now that's transferring through. So now we end up with things like fibromyalgia, myofascial pain syndrome, and I kind of look at it, it's the messy stuff, because we really don't understand it, and we can't go to the doctor and say, well, they won't let me use my quick start.
Right.
And the interesting thing about it too is that because there's no words in the subconscious mind, there's no way to to express it,
Right.
and they get in the trap.
So the fascia,
Yep.
so tell me what that looks like. Where is that in my body? Like, is it?
It's everywhere. So it's a spider web. It's a spider web, right? So it surrounds and supports every muscle, every bone, every joint, every nerve, every blood vessel, every internal organ, your brain, your spinal cord, every cell of your body is housed within the fascial system. So for people listening, if you ever make baby back ribs and you pull that membrane off the back, that's fascia. If you ever get boneless, skinless chicken breast and there's that little shiny piece on top, that's fascia. It surrounds and supports absolutely everything. It's the only thing in the human body that connects everything to everything.
So then when my back was injured, so that's when I met you, because I came actually to have a myofascial treatment so that I could see if that was what would help. Now, and it did. So how does that work? How did that help me?
Well, we're gonna get a little off course here, but
let's get off course. Squirrel.
Squirrel.
Yeah.
Well, if you open up the fascial system, you know, when that system, so when you get conative, I'll tie it back into the conative stress.
Yeah.
So I'm up against myself, I'm up against myself, right? And so then I believe that either people will make a choice. They will make a cognitive choice, and they will say, I'm going to leave my job. I don't like it. It's not working for me, whatever the case may be, right? I'm moving away from the camera. And so they'll make a cognitive choice and then change jobs, change careers, or going to do whatever, or their body will take them out. Their body will say, you know what, I'm going to take you out one way or the other, because you can't fight instinct. And so if you look and say, when treating your back, right? So all of a sudden we started to open up that fascial system. We started to try to take the pressure off the system. And now, so in my world, bones are stupid. So, right. So as you get, but the joints start to compress, everything starts to load. Well, now that load creates pain.
Right.
And take the load off, and that's both physically and mentally. You can't separate.
Right. Okay.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there any questions from anyone, like, as we go through? Because I could talk for days.
Yes. Hi everyone.
Yeah.
Hi Chad. Hi
We don't have a
Donna.
lot
Hi
of
Shelly.
questions. We have
Manel, Gita.
We have
Hi
comments.
guys. Hi Tessa. Yvonne, Catherine.
If you guys have any questions, just pop them in the comments. Warren is itching for questions.
I know what is in my pile. I know when someone else goes through it and maybe take something out of it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, she knows what's in her pile.
Yes, she does.
Bless her heart.
She is probably like me.
Right.
Love it.
Yvonne, you're a whole lot of awesome.
Yes.
Bottom line.
We all are.
Yes.
Chad says new ideas are so important. They help with growth. Yeah. Absolutely.
Right. So Chad. Now we'll throw that. We'll throw it out at Chad. Right. So, our Chad, are you someone just to constantly come up with new ideas, trying to innovate, and you want to say, hey, why don't we do this differently? How can we do this and love surprises and constantly innovating new things, and your brain just never shuts off. It's always coming at it from different options and different opportunities and new ideas, and right. And that becomes, if that's, when you talk about new ideas, you talk to a long quick start, because they will go into the future naturally of what is possible. Where somebody like you, Cindy, who's a long fact finder, will go to the past, right, and see what's been done before. You're going to go in two separate directions when you're going to use time, right? Again, one's not right, one's not wrong. And some people say, well, I'm not creative. And that's a myth. That is a complete myth. Everyone in the world is equally creative. It's how we approach it is different. So that becomes a thing too, right? And how we use time, right?
Right.
So, and there's, I'll chime into we'll see if Chad comes up with something. So, but it's all about procrastination, right? Procrastination's fun. So I don't know if anybody in this call ever been called a procrastinator before.
Never.
Never?
Never.
Me either.
Never. I mean, the fact that I do everything last minute does not mean that I'm a procrastinator.
You win the prize. So
there was a surprise.
So I want people to really pay attention to this. People who are longer, have lots of energy and fact finder, right? They're research driven. They want the data, they want the facts, they want the specifics, right? Everything has to have a priority, right? First things first, right? They'll be called procrastinators because if there's not enough information to make a decision, they won't make the decision. Otherwise, they'll never feel joy that they've actually really completed. They've never done all the work enough to make that decision. And it looks like procrastination. It's not procrastination. It's I don't have enough information to make a decision. So other people look from the outside and say, would you just make the decision already?
Do it
And
already.
if you ever get them to try to guess or put them on the spot, they will freeze because you're not giving them any information.
Right.
Long
That's
follow
me.
through. Yeah,
That's you.
that's you. There you go. So long follow throughs who have lots of mental energy. They're the planners, the organizers, the structures, the CDOs, right? But they have a wonderful spice rack, I'm sure. But the thing is, right, if they don't see a start, a middle, and an end, they won't start because they need to have a plan. They need to have a structure in place. Otherwise, so does it look like procrastination? Absolutely looks like procrastination because if they don't see a start, a middle, and end, they won't start. Now we got Tamala here, who's the long, quick start, right? And she does everything last minute.
Not
right?
everything, but yes.
But anything is that you want to get done well, right? You leave to the last minute, right? And say, but you knew about this 2 weeks ago. But you knew about this a week ago. Why didn't you get it done? But there you go.
But yeah.
So explain that to me. You put that into words and explain to me why you do that.
Are there words for it?
There's your answer. There's your answer. There's no words for it.
So Chad says, absolutely. The flow of new ideas is, or as an musical improviser, is a wonderful asset for endless creativity and allows me to see great possibilities.
There's words from a long, quick start. And when he does that, when Chad does that, I will guarantee you that he will get a sense of joy that can never be replaced by anything else because it's internally driven, right? So long, quick starts who do things at the last minute, they have the most amount of mental energy. They come up with the best ideas, right? And at the very end, they'll always change it. Even if it's done a week ahead of time, they'll change it at the end anyway, because they'll come up with the greatest ideas will come at the end. But it looks like procrastination. It's not procrastination. It's a myth. It's that they wait to the last minute. They wait for the crisis. They wait for the crunch, and then boom, they hit it right at the very end, and that's where they boom.
Right, but I don't think so. For me, when I'm procrastinating, it's not that I'm not thinking about it. It's not that I'm not gathering ideas and that there's not thought about it in advance, because that's happening up here. It's just not happening on paper, right?
But yeah, there's the key. Right? Because what you said, I'm thinking is cognitive.
Right.
I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about it. But when you put it into action, when you get it done, that's the conative. We all have 3 parts to our mind, right? Yes. And they all work together, right? And then whenever we go into conative stress, we move into the affect, we move into emotion. Because energy's got to go somewhere. We don't know what to do with it. There's no words for it. So then I'll do whatever, I'll emotionally respond. There's so that.
Sorry. You just dropped everything.
So I heard you say something.
My squirrel shows up and says, okay, just with exactly what you're saying right there, and mixing the fascia in there, I just want to throw a curveball at you and say, okay, so in my experience, having injuries and different pains in my body, do you believe we store some of that in our fascia, in our body?
Absolutely.
Some of the issues that we have in work, or, things that have happened in our past, trauma, whatever. So is that part of the work, part of the research that you're doing there?
That's not really what the research I'm doing. I believe that. I believe that fascia holds memory. I fully believe that, and I've seen it and I've witnessed it in my 27 years of practice. So I fully 100% believe that, right? Fascia remembers.
Ooh, aged yourself.
I know, yeah. but being that I'm only 26, it's pretty good. But the fascia does remember. But I also believe, though, that over time, where if we put ourselves in those situations and we have the golden handcuffs on, that we will pattern, and it does catch up to us, because it's actually, I look at it as over time.
Mhm. Yeah, and so when you say the golden handcuffs.
Yeah, the golden handcuffs is, I get every second Friday off. I have my pension plan. They give me benefits. I get a car. I get a whatever the case is, right? And then I hate my life and I hate my job, but it's a good thing that I get my pension plan, and that's the golden handcuffs.
Right. And so that's when you see that stress more shine through, right? I think that I know that I know that there have been times where, you have worked on my back, and I have felt not just that physical release or I guess it's called a release, but also an emotional release. And so then I know that that's tied to the fascia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fascia, potato. Yeah.
Tomato. Carrot.
But it's an energetic based system, right? So emotion is energy in motion. And so your mental state, even like mental health, all those pieces all tie into a lot of this, because it's energy. It is energy. Right. So when you built up with that emotional piece, it's got to go somewhere, right? So you can release the fascia. A lot of time that emotions will come along with it.
Yvonne says, "Oh wow, this is so helpful. What are examples of the conative actions? As a writer, when I can't put my thoughts on paper, yet I go into cleaning mode or fix it mode. I thought it was resistance or procrastination."
Interesting. So she goes into cleaning mode or fix it mode. I love it. Yvonne, we got to talk, because I'm loving every second of this. So I have to ask you, Yvonne, you got to type in, be prepared, right? Were you called a tomboy when you were younger? Let's see what she types in. We'll see if she does. And I love this aspect of it, because when we run out of energy in one mode as a writer, let's say I'm a short fact finder, I'm writing my book. I can write for so long, and then my brain goes, right? And then I will shift. Yes, thank you. Oh, Yvonne, this is wonderful. So when you burn off that energy, you burn off your energy in writing, and then what you do, because that's burnt off, you will go to another piece. You'll go into fix it mode or cleaning mode, because you want to go into motion. You want to move. So instincts are needs, not wants. They're needs, not wants. I need to move. I need to fix something. Because you're trying to satisfy your own need, right? And you don't know that you're doing it because it's subconscious. It has nothing to do with procrastination. Yvonne is actually now recharging her batteries.
So can that be with eating too? Something like that? Like, is that one of the, okay, all of a sudden you need to eat something? Or you move into, you know what I mean? Like, is that like an emotional, or is it?
But that's emotional. So if I go into conative stress, what did I say earlier? When I go into conative stress, I automatically move into the affect. I move into the feeling side. I move into the emotions. Okay. So however I want to try to satiate that, do I want to eat? Do I want to, whatever the case may be? I'm talking about action. I'm talking about how we actually are problem solving, right? And staying in your mode, staying in flow. So Yvonne was a great example of that. What she's naturally doing is she's burning off that energy, and then she's doing something else, and she'll burn that energy, and then she'll recharge her batteries over here, and she'll come back and do it in chunks. So she's moving back and forth, right? But that's her state of flow, right? And then I can pretty much tell you by what she said on the question is, then she's like, well, but I'm procrastinating. I should stick this out. I should stick this through.
Should on myself.
Right? And she's shooting on herself, right? And then, it's like after a while, if you actually understand this, you'd rather stick needles in your eyes, right? Because once that energy is burnt off, it's burnt off, right? So a lot of, some of my advice is do nothing when nothing works, right? So you need to recharge that mental energy.
Yeah. Well, a friend of mine posted today, because she's a teacher as well. She posted a picture of somebody cleaning house, and she said, my house will never be so clean because it's report card time. So kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Procrastinate. Yes. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, and you were talking about mental energy. That was something that you wanted to touch on today was.
Yeah, I just talk about it's real, but people to understand mental energy, right? And how we all do things differently. So, example with my natural squirrel or my natural aspect of my, I'll use my 2 fact finders, right? Just I burn it off and it's gone. That's my mental
Yes.
energy. If I have to stay there, if I have to, again, it's so funny. I'm doing research, and the word research actually makes me nauseous.
Mm-hmm.
So I call it case studies. Makes me feel better, right? I'm not doing the data. I'm not doing all that. Are you kidding? I'm the idea guy. I have other people who do all the anal work for me, right? With great respect.
The anal work,
Yes,
nice.
but I mean that with respect. I need those people around me to be able to help me get where I want to go, because I know that they give me the gift of their fact finder and do the data and the stuff that I will never do, right? I mean, don't ask me to read a paper all the way through. It's just awful. But I'm very capable. I just don't. It's not natural to me. I don't. It's like whatever, right? So just let me read the summary or the conclusion. I'm good. Got it. Let me go, right? Mm-hmm. So that mental energy. So if I had to stay there a long period of time, that now that my mental health is actually going to get affected, because the fact is, and even if I should on myself, right? I should do this more. I should do this more. Well, how come I can't? And, right? And there's a story we start telling ourselves, right? And I will guarantee that, as your life, and anybody who has a short follow through has been called messy or been called unorganized their whole life, right? And it's not true. It's not true.
We shared a bedroom, Cindy. When we were growing up, we were never messy.
Never.
We were never messy.
No, not messy.
But if you get told,
my desk is a little messy.
But if you get told that, right? You get told that, that's a story you start to tell yourself. So I'm going to try really hard to be organized, right? That's a mental health. And I think even with COVID, it's been a really interesting time for the fact of that, the people that have been short follow throughs have been actually, I think, doing quite well, because the fact is the plan is there is no plan. We don't have to worry about it. Well, they're very adaptable, right? Oh, I'll do this, we'll do this, I'll move this, I'll go over here, and I'll do that. But the people that are long follow throughs are really struggling, because if I can't have a plan, I don't know what to do next. And I will guarantee they always go to worst case scenario. So that becomes now a story they tell themselves, right? It's not negative, Nelly. But they automatically, naturally, instinctively go to worst case scenario, right? The short quick starts, right? Who want certainty? They want stability. They want to keep everything the same. Well, the world isn't the same right now. It's changing rapidly. So they're trying to pump the brakes, and the world has put their foot on the gas, right? And it's not mentally healthy for those people. Where the long quick starts, and the people that I talk to are like, this is awesome. I mean, look at the opportunities we can create. And I thought about this, and I did this, and the wheel, it's like all the walls came down, and it's this opportunity within COVID. Mm-hmm. So why are some people freaking out and the other people are going, this is the best thing that happened?
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, it's their cognitive
aspect of their mind.
The way that they do things.
Yes.
So what part of the mind is it that doesn't want to, for example, for me, I have anxiety about wearing masks because I am claustrophobic. And so when I go into a space where you have to wear a mask, I start to lose my stuff. I start to lose my stuff because, first off, having something around my face is very restrictive, and I start to panic when that happens, right? And so what part of the brain is doing that?
That's the affect.
That is the affect.
That's how you feel.
Oh yeah, that's definitely how I feel.
That's definitely how you feel. That's the affect, right?
I need to breathe.
Yeah, that's the affect.
Yeah.
That's not conative. You're not really taking action at that part. It's how you feel about it.
Okay. Yeah.
That makes sense?
It does. It does.
Same for me.
So,
awesome.
Again, is when you understand this, and any of you who have, so this has nothing to do with genetics. which is really fascinating because you can have a family, I mean, you know, of 4 kids or 5 kids, whatever the case may be. I have 6 older sisters, right? And you look and say, well, why does one, my daughter Hannah is the world's best stuffer, right? She just stuffs, right? She's a 1 in follow through. She's a stuffer.
Stuffs like clothing into
Drawers,
drawers.
and yeah, you watch your packages, stuff it all in, and
Close
jump
the
on it,
lid.
close the lid, done. Good enough. It's in one place, right? And then and the next one's got them all nice and folded, and you know, and it's all neat and tidy, right? And you put into place. Why does one child stuff, and why does one need to put everything in an orderly sequence?
So is your son, does he stuff? No, he's orderly.
He's orderly. So
Right,
when I was
opposites.
creating stuff for workshops, and I have everything all over the kitchen because that's my way, and he goes, Dad, you're giving me anxiety. Because it wasn't orderly, right?
Right.
And my daughter would be like, this is awesome.
Yeah,
right?
cool. How can I help?
Yeah. So
Right.
then, you know, so
Interesting.
having 2 children do it completely different ways, right? And as a
Yeah.
parent, right, so you have the same beliefs, you have the same rules, you have the same standards, you have the same diet, you have the same atmosphere, you have the same everything. Why are they doing it so differently?
Right.
Right. And then as a parent, you typically go, well, do it because I'm the parent, do it my way because I know better.
Yes, do it.
Really,
Or
sometimes really well-meaning, really crappy advice.
And that goes same with the teacher, right? Like, I mean, yes, I need to have this, and this done. You need to hand this in to me so I can grade it and I can give you a mark on your progress report. But does that mean it needs to all be handed in the same? Right?
There's the question of the day.
And the answer is no,
That's
it
right.
doesn't. Let's look at different ways for different children to complete projects so that you get what you need, but it might not look the same.
Absolutely. And you think about with kids, right, for students, right? As an adult, you get to quit your job if you don't like it.
Oh God.
Students don't.
They don't.
They
Nope.
don't have that option. So they have to toe the line, right? And so what if, as a teacher, what if you knew how your students problem solved?
Oh, you know what? Like that makes such a difference. Like just the small amount that I know about the conative aspect of the mind makes a difference in how I teach the kids, because I can look, and the very first week of school, I did a project where they had to cut something, they had to sort it out, and they had to put it into bags. And when I looked at the kids' desks to see how they were cutting, how they were sorting, I could tell.
Yep.
Who was a quick start, who was a long follow through. Like I could tell because of the way they were organizing it on their desks.
Right.
So I knew right away, okay, well, you know, this student is going to have a lot easier of a time sticking with projects. This student is going to need to move from one to another and back to the other one. So yeah, it made a difference, right? It makes a difference in
Quite interesting, because what about, you know, not only that, what about your relationships? So your relationships with your spouse or friends or work, right? Your relationships with everybody.
Yeah.
You know, if we can understand more of this, that it allows us to bring even compassion to each other, right? Because we are just all built differently, and you know, so why can you just can't point and blame or expect or anything of anyone, because they are all built so differently.
And it does come down to expectations, right? And I mean, this is how we act, react, and interact with every human being in our life, right? And it comes down to understanding, appreciate, and respect, because we're all going to come at it our own way, whether you like it or not, right? It's right. You take yourself with you wherever you go. So, so you are going to problem solve your way, right? And it's because, I keep saying it back, it's subconscious, right? So when it's subconscious, it's talking to you, right? It's the one talking to you. It's behind the scenes, right? And so what's interesting about, when you talk about the cognitive, right? So when we second guess ourselves, you think about this, and you know, we've all done it. We second guess ourselves, right? So our instincts, so we have to have the affective part of our mind is we want to want something. So that again, that's the affective. So I want something to occur. I'm motivated to get something done. So your kid's in school and I'm motivated to get the project done, right? Whatever the case may be. As soon as you're motivated, the instinctive aspect, the conative aspect of your mind kicks in. And it says, okay, here you go. This is what I'm going to give you. Here's your battery pack. Let's go to work. And then you have to have free will. You have to have determination. I'm going to still move forward. And then we move into the cognitive. So as for every parent and every person on this call, when your parent told you, think before you act, they were wrong. Act before you think, because the conative comes before the cognitive. And so when we second guess ourselves, our instincts are talking to us and we go, oh, I probably shouldn't do that. It's probably not a good idea. And then you go into this action. And then afterwards you go, oh, I should have listened to myself.
Should have listened to my gut.
I should have listened to my gut.
Yeah.
Because it's talking to you. Instincts don't lie.
Right.
They do not lie. Right. And that's when we second guess ourselves. I should do something else or whatever the case may be. So Yvonne, if she's still around, right? And it's a fun one. So she would have said, her parents would have told her, said, look at me when I'm talking to you. And then when she had to stare at her parents because she had to try to get away with whatever she was in trouble for, right? And then her brain would have stalled and then she would have done a temper tantrum and then hell would have broken loose. Mm-hmm. So I'll let her think about that one because it's super fun.
Awesome.
So I wanted to talk to you about this as well, because you have something called, Yvonne says sure did.
Yep.
That's awesome.
I don't even know Yvonne.
No, I know. But yeah, obviously you do. So better the pond, #better the pond. So better the pond is a, what do you call it?
It's a social movement.
Social movement that Warren has. And so can you talk to us about your social movement?
Well, my mission is, so the pond is the world. So remember they're going back to the duck, goose analogy,
yes,
right?
Yes, right?
And we talk about geese flying in a bee and all those wonderful things. We all live in the same pond. Mm-hmm. The world is our pond, right? So what can you do as a person, right, to better the pond? Mm-hmm. And that could be do something kind for somebody else. They could just shovel snow. You could buy something for somebody, a smile. It's all those things are doing something for someone else, expecting nothing in return. It's kind of like a pay it forward aspect, right? But again, it's about doing something for someone else. And so what I want is for people, if they ever travel, right, is they get a card I always give them 2 cards, right? Write a note on the back of the card and right, do something for somebody else and then give them a card and hopefully they'll do it for somebody in return. If they do it somewhere in the world, I have a map and I get to scratch that place off the map, right? My mission is for my entire map to be scratched off before I die and that we've actually bettered the pond, the entire pond. Should we show them?
Absolutely.
So the name's Pond. James Pond with a mask.
He's wearing a mask.
That's good.
He's got a mask on.
So we can share the video, the James Pond video.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, we'll share.
And but again, it's just I'm always looking for people to help out, right? To better the pond. That's what it's all about. It's nothing to do with me, but it has everything to do with everybody else making the world a better place. Mm-hmm. So we have the Better the Pond Pondcast.
Right.
As well.
Yes.
Right. So they can check it out on Apple and Spotify and all those wonderful things.
Yes, that's right. It's Better the Pond. And yeah, it's got this Goose is on the Better the Pond Pondcast. That is the logo.
That is the logo. Right. And it's the only pondcast in the world.
The only pondcast in the world. Yeah. That's awesome. That's really cool. So
you might be able to put some links below.
Yeah, we'll put some links in. We'll put James Pond's video back on the feed again. We had put it on a while back, but we'll put it on again. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we'll put some links in the message here or in the live here. We'll put links underneath, and we'll also put some in the James Pond video or attached to that as well. So
super cool.
Yeah. So Any final thoughts that you want to leave us with today?
Well, I think, you know, it's really my whole mission with people is just be you.
Yeah.
Right? Just be yourself and trust your guts, trust your instincts. There is no right or wrong. There is no good or bad. Do things, you know, you do things your way, but you also have to work in society. So they leverage other people, right, to help you get where you want to go, or you can provide your talent to other people to get where you want to go. Right? We're better together. And it's not a power trip. It's not about ego. It's about everybody chipping in and putting those talents into a pool, and that's true teamwork, right? And it's a part of the mind that people just never really understand. And so when you can just be yourself and you're gonna put it out there anyway, right? So celebrate it. You're awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. You're awesome too.
Oh, well, thank you. Cindy?
Yes.
You're awesome.
So are you. And you, sister.
You too, sister. Thank you so much. Well, we want to thank you guys for joining us on TTSN tonight. Thank you, Warren Berry, for being here.
Yes.
And
Thank you for joining us.
yeah, and so
That was awesome.
signing off from TTSN, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Chat soon.
Have a good night.